Join me as I dive into the debate and try to find out if the Vikings really were the first to set foot in America. Today, we're going to explore a topic that has sparked intense debate among historians and archaeologists for centuries. Did the Vikings really reach America first? It's a claim that's been shrouded in mystery, and in this video, we're going to delve into the evidence that supports this theory. The central challenge when it comes to exploring Viking expeditions is distinguishing fact from fiction. We've all heard the stories of Leif Erikson and his crew, but how much of that is based on historical records, and how much is simply myth? It's a topic that requires a critical eye and a willingness to examine the evidence from multiple angles. One of the main reasons we struggle to separate fact from fiction is the lack of concrete evidence from the Viking era itself. Most of what we know comes from later historical accounts, which can be biased or exaggerated. This lack of primary sources makes it difficult to build a definitive picture of Viking exploration. Furthermore, the Vikings themselves left behind few written records, preferring instead to pass down their stories and legends through oral tradition. This means that much of what we know about their expeditions has been filtered through centuries of retelling and reinterpretation. As we try to untangle the threads of Viking history, we're also faced with the challenge of understanding the implications of their potential discovery of America. If the Vikings did indeed reach America first, what does that mean for our understanding of the age of exploration? Does it rewrite the history books, or does it simply add a new chapter to the story? These are the kinds of questions that we need to answer if we're going to fully understand the significance of Viking exploration. The Viking Sagas, medieval Icelandic texts that tell the stories of Viking heroes and explorers, offer some of the most valuable insights into their expeditions. While they're not always reliable, they do provide a glimpse into the Viking mindset and their motivations for exploring the New World. Another crucial piece of evidence comes from archaeology, particularly the Norse settlement at Lance Oaks Meadows in modern-day Canada. This site, discovered in the 1960s, has been extensively excavated and provides concrete proof of Viking presence in North America. We'll examine key findings such as the Norse settlement at Lance Oaks Meadows, historical accounts from sagas, and how these compare to Columbus's expeditions. The settlement at Lance Oaks Meadows is particularly significant because it dates back to around 1000 AD, nearly 5 centuries before Columbus's famous voyage. What's striking about this site is the sophistication of the Viking buildings, which suggests a level of planning and organization that's hard to ignore. The sagas, on the other hand, provide a more personal perspective on Viking exploration, offering insights into the personalities and motivations of the explorers themselves. One of the most interesting aspects of the sagas is the way they describe the Vikings' encounters with indigenous peoples. These accounts offer a rare glimpse into the complex dynamics of cultural exchange and conflict, and remind us that the Vikings were not the only ones with a stake in the New World. Another crucial piece of evidence comes from the Viking artifacts discovered in North America, which provide tangible proof of their presence on the continent. While some of these finds are disputed, many are widely accepted as authentic, and collectively they paint a picture of a Viking presence that's hard to deny. When we compare the Viking expeditions to Columbus's voyages, we're struck by the differences in their approaches and motivations. While Columbus was driven by a desire to spread Christianity and establish trade routes, the Vikings seem to have been motivated by a desire to explore and settle new lands. This difference in motivation has significant implications for how we understand the history of exploration, and challenges our assumptions about the role of Europeans in the New World. The turning point comes when we analyze the significance of the evidence found, and what it means for our understanding of history and exploration. If we accept that the Vikings did indeed reach America first, what does that mean for our understanding of the age of exploration? Does it demote Columbus from his position as the discoverer of America, or does it simply add a new chapter to the story? As we examine the evidence, we're forced to confront our own biases and assumptions about history, and to reevaluate our understanding of the past. When we consider the Vikings' expeditions in the context of North American history, we're reminded that the story of exploration is far more complex and nuanced than we often give it credit for. The Vikings were not the only explorers on the continent, and their presence intersects with the stories of indigenous peoples, European colonizers, and other explorers. By examining the Vikings' role in this larger narrative, we gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped the Americas and the complexity of human history. To wrap up, we'll summarize the main points and reflect on the impact of Viking exploration in the context of North American history. If you enjoyed this exploration of Viking history, don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts and check out our next video on the myths of Viking culture.